And we are live. Welcome to week one of the NBC Sports College Football Live Betting Q&A presented by BetMGM Sportsbooks. I'm Brad Thomas. We have Vaughn Dalzell and Eric Froton. And during the show, we will answer all of your questions about which bets you like, which bets you should fade, and give you our favorite plays of the day. But let's start it off. Trending topics or interesting tidbits. I'm going to start first. Me and Eric had a little conversation, and we noticed that we see a lot more props coming out, but boy, as the props come out and they're more available to everyone else, those lines are absolutely moving. I know Eric had one that he talked about that moved absolutely insane, up and down roller coaster. Give it to us, Eric.
Yeah, I mean, to say that it was a roller coaster is an understatement, to say the least. Shedeur Sanders, obviously the son of Neon Deion Sanders over there at Colorado, making his FBS debut. His line was a wild one. Opened up at 227 before spiking up to around the 240 range. However, DraftKings came out early yesterday and opened him at 183 passing yards, which immediately sent the market into like a tailspin to recorrect everything. It was quite a sight. So for a short period of time yesterday, you had, a Shedeur line that was in the 240s and also in the 180s for a major, 60-yard potential middle opportunity. Eventually, that all kind of evened out and came down, and all the books kind of met in the middle. He's currently hanging around that 210.5 range, and that is still a pretty good line when it comes to that over. I think that they're going to have to be throwing early and often against TCU, who should have a nice lead against we don't know what we're getting from this Colorado defense, but we got points last year. I'll tell you that much. So I have a lot more confidence in their offense behind, as mentioned, Shedeur Sanders, who already has a couple years of FCS experience, Xavier Weaver, Christian Horn. We have some talent out there to be able to work with. So I do think we will see the over 210.5 for Shedeur. But man, what a wild ride it was getting there.
Absolutely. Vaughn, what's on your brain, man? What are you going to bring to us, dog?
We're definitely going to be talking a lot about Colorado because, UMass got the win. Colorado's not going to win today. We've seen TCU move out to -21 there. That's going to be one of the most fantastic games, and the over's moving up too there. But I want to talk about a top 10 match. Before I do that, I want to give a shout-out to Yordi, and David said,
What's
Brad,
up? Hey.
Doesn't Brad look great today? My man got the Jimmy Butler John going. I absolutely love it. So today's a great day. It's a Saturday, baby. And for week 10 matchups, we're only getting one of them this year in week one. It's LSU and Florida State, which is a Sunday night matchup. And historically, looking at the numbers, one of the trends that stuck out to me is since 1982, there have been 22 top 10 matchups in week one. Only 6 underdogs have won. So LSU is in a position of a 16-6 trend. And it sounds like we may have a pizza bet on LSU versus Florida State too. So we might as well just hop into the top 25 matchup. And Brad, what side are you on, my friend?
Listen, LSU, you said it, 2.5-point favorite, total set at 56.5. I will kick this one off. I'm going to be on Florida State. And this is one of those interesting things, Vaughn, where you want to bet on a game, right? And before you even look at the numbers, you're so set. Like I was so set on LSU. I had every intention of betting on LSU, but as I got closer and dug in a little bit deeper, I had to bet Florida State, even with the points. And people might say that it's just 2.5, but if evidence from last year, that those extra 1.5 points, 2.5 points can loom large. Let's talk about it from a total production standpoint. Florida State's returning the most total production in college football. And while not a super household name for casual college football fans, Jordan Travis, one of the more efficient quarterbacks in college football with a 90.1 PFF grade. I was looking at these two quarterbacks and I was like, one scrambles a lot, the other scrambles okay. And then I looked at their PFF rushing grades and they were actually pretty comparable. My biggest issue for LSU is we know that secondary is going to be tested. We got Johnny Wilson over there. We got Keon Coleman over there. And Jordan Travis has been efficient, like I said. And they were, 11th in the country in explosive play rate last season, which I think is only going to be up. I saw a rankings list that I thought was pretty cool with top players at each position PFF put out, and they put Trey Benson as number 1 running back in college football. I do not agree with that entirely, but we will see a lot of running production. Mason Smith for LSU is also suspended for this game, and Emory will also be out running back for LSU. Just too many players out and too many newcomers on that secondary for me to back LSU. Can you tell me why you like LSU so much?
Yeah, well, obviously the trend definitely helps, but last year was Brian Kelly's first game with the LSU team, and we were talking a lot of smack on him and the Tigers and how that might look for the first game, and they kind of played out in that first half how we thought it would be. Obviously, that last drive was amazing. The extra point getting blocked was amazing. I'm a man that loves his revenge angles, and early in the season, when you lose a game like that, and this game, in my opinion, these two teams are national contenders. Whoever loses this game, you can't lose one more game, or you're not making the big game. You're not making the college football playoff. So this game has so much riding on it already in week 1. And I'll say the only guy that does really worry me is Johnny Wilson, because when you got a 6'7" receiver, I mean, you're going to get busy. You're going to get opportunities. So I'll give you that, Brad. But I do like what LSU has. I think they have the talent. They're in the better conference. They want to start fast. They want to get revenge. And Brian Kelly knows what he's working with this year compared to last year. And they're not going to have as much drama with the wide receivers and a couple other plays like they did. So our first pizza bet of the season. I'm taking LSU. Bet. You're taking FSU. You got the points. I got the money line. Maybe we'll finish in the middle, but I want to let you know I want pepperoni and sausage, my brother, and I'm hungry.
I want a Bianca pizza with either chicken or pepperoni, thin crust. I want them to put the olive oil and the garlic on the crust for me on the outside. But listen, Vaughn, I talked about Trey Benson, and it looks like Eric has an angle for Trey Benson. Mr. Prop Master, tell me what's good with Benson.
Yeah, well, I mean, what's good with Trey Benson was pretty much the entire second half of the 2022 season. See, he started out as the nominal RB3 in that backfield last year behind Trayshawn Ward, who's now at Kansas State, and Lawrence Tuafili, who is really the scat back, all-purpose type. After, I believe, week 7, Trayshawn Ward ended up getting injured, and that's when Trey Benson went from that secondary backup role to the primary ball carrier, and he proceeded to rip off 500-yard games in his last 6. And as stated, he is the reason why Trayshawn Ward is now battling DJ Giddens over there at Kansas State for the top RB1 slot. And it's because Trey Benson came out and he rocked every single team that he went out there against. And you referenced PFF. Considering him RB1, I have been taking every share I can get of Trey Benson in the college fantasy market, off season. I completely agree. My C2C leagues, Campus Canton, I have him in every one that he was available. He was mine. So I am so bullish on his potential. Incredible when it comes to breaking tackles. His feet are very fluid, great eyes in the hole. Like, everything I see with Trey Benson, the power, finishing runs, he's got it all. I am supporting that over 65.5 rushing yards on him.
I like that a lot. Hey, guys, listen, for those who don't know, I'm going to invite you to check out the NBC Sports YouTube short section to see myself, Vaughn, Eric, and Star in our new Bet It in a Minute and Betting Big segments where we break down our favorite Big Ten and Pac-12 plays every week all season long. And I said this at the top, but I'm going to keep saying it throughout the show. Please drop your questions because we want to answer them. That's our goal, is to make as much money and provide as much insight as possible. Everyone knows, without further ado, the Big Ten Saturday night on Peacock is officially here. That is why we're doing Betting Big. So let's talk about it. West Virginia at Penn State. The Nittany Lions are a 20.5-point favorite. Total set at 49.5. Eric, I'm going back to you for your favorite player prop from this game.
Yeah, well, I mean, look at Penn State and West Virginia, rekindling of a very close rivalry, as we've stated. Now, with Penn State, as we know, I have been extremely complimentary of this team. I sincerely think that either this year or next year, I think they can win the Big Ten. I really do. They have enough. Their defense has always been excellent, and with Chop Robinson, Kalen King, I mean, they have it. But their offensive line has been really what held them back. But they got 4 back, all of Fashanu. I mean, I think they're ready. That being said, they're playing West Virginia today. And I see West Virginia, the one thing that they can do, Neil Brown on the hot seat, and it's scorching. What can they do? They have 4 offensive linemen who are returning that have over 100 line starts, combined. I do think they are going to be running the ball quite often. They lose offensive coordinator Graham Harrell, who's now at Purdue. So I don't think they're going to be beating this PSU team through the air, especially with a dual threat. And he's really more of a solo threat with a rushing sort of competency. That is Garrett Green for West Virginia. Now you looked at him last year. If you watched him, he is not a passer. This is a run-first quarterback. He's currently listed at 18.5 rushing yards. Now, in college, obviously, if you get sacked, that takes away from your rushing yardage. But I don't think they're going to be throwing. Maybe 20 to 25 times is where I kind of peg them in terms of their game script. I think you're going to see a lot of C.J. Donaldson. He opened at 41.5, has been bet up to 53.5. I think that's about right considering the talent discrepancy here. I love the over at 41.5, but that went the way of the dodo bird. I think you're going to see a lot of that Green/Donaldson combination. So with Green at a very reasonable 18.5, I'm going to bet that they need to keep running the ball. And because of all the RPOs we're going to be seeing, I do think we'll clear the 18.5.
This was a number that was interesting to me, Eric, just because, I love my quarterback rushing overs. I was concerned about the sacks, but if he's getting these RPOs actions, I think even with the sacks, he's going to be well over 18.5. I just wanted to kind of lower my risk in this game because this was so close to being my best bet. Penn State minus 20.5. I did not, because the only reason I didn't make it my best bet was because I was flirting between the team total and the spread. Eric touched on it a lot with this West Virginia team. Neil Brown doesn't have them trending in the right direction. This is a team that had the second worst defense in the Pac-12 up against a Penn State team who's absolutely loaded on both sides of the ball. A Penn State team who, it felt like an eternity where Penn State was waiting for a quarterback with as much upside, with as big of an arm, ability to throw as Drew Allar, and now they have him. They already have Katron Allen and Nick Singleton in the backfield as a security blanket, but they're not a security blanket. That's what's so great about this Penn State team is they don't need Allar to be great to be good this season. They just need him to be all right. And I think that the sky's the limits for this kid without the pressure. Now, if they didn't have a running game and all the pressure was on him, I think it would be hard to kind of live up to that expectation, but he's going to come into this game pretty well. From a numbers standpoint, there's a Penn State team who was 16th in EPA margin versus 66 for West Virginia there. And we talked about it, EPA versus run 4th versus a 56th ranked defense here. I think the number's good. And what I like about James Franklin, and what we've noticed too, is a lot of these teams, these big programs, they like continuing to score even when they put their backup in, because it's not necessarily about running up the score, but it's getting meaningful reps for the guys behind your starters, behind your second team, just in case anything happens, or building for the future. So yeah, give me Penn State minus 20.5. Vaughn, what would you like for this game?
Oh, I'll say I laughed a little bit during your breakdown. You're talking about Drew Allar, because I just thought him and Kyle McCord, they're the Spider-Man meme pointing at each other. Like, we both just have to do okay, and our teams will be fine because we have so much talent around us in defense. And Drew Allar, I was a Penn State fan growing up my whole life, and I faded away from that. But they've never had a quarterback. I still don't think he is the answer to that position, but he's definitely a much improved quarterback. But best team, like you said, that they've had since James Franklin's been there. So I'm rolling with the 20.5 as well. Penn State was 11-0 last year as a favorite. In those 11 games, 6 of them, they won by 28 or more points. West Virginia was also one of the worst road scoring teams in the first half last year. They averaged 7.3 points per game in the first half of their road games last year. We know Beaver Stadium is no easy place to play. I've been there a few times, and I do love it. It's going to be exciting. And like our man said in the chat, too, about West Virginia having some questionable players, I believe that was Sean that said that. I think that impacts it because you guys already hit on West Virginia, offensive line, ground game. It's much improved. It's going to be the best part of the team. But the best part about Penn State is that defense, all right? The secondary is terrific, and the front seven is just as ferocious. So what West Virginia is great at, Penn State's even better at.
Yes.
So, yeah, give me the Nittany Lions, minus 20.5 as well, Brad. Let's cash it, baby.
Yeah, with the tough thing, I'm going to add one more thing to this. With the tough thing about West Virginia going up against Penn State is as West Virginia improve and they replace players, Neil Brown just hasn't been recruiting at a high level. So it's a lot more difficult for them to continue to grow when they're going up against powerhouses. Let's go to our best bet segment. Unfortunately, I hate to bring the bad news. I was the only player to return profit in the best bet segment, but guess what? We're forgetting week 0 never happened. There's a reason it's a 0 in front of it instead of a 1. I'm going to kick this off. ECU at Michigan over 51.5 points. Please shop your lines because I'm seeing a lot of 52s out there. I've seen some 52.5s. So make sure you use whatever product you like to use to shop your lines because you want to get the best number available. I'm comfortable playing it at 52. 50? Okay, to be transparent, I bet this at 50.5. So to play at 52.5 might start to get up there a little bit more in value depletion for me there. Why do I like this? And why not take Michigan minus 36.5? A lot of people are going to tell me. A lot of people are going to ask me. With this game, you have a lot of outs with this bet. Michigan, I have them projected, their team total. I have them project to hit their team total. But if they hit their team total, they're so close to hitting that 50 mark. If Michigan hit that 50 mark, I think that we're going to cover this number. ECU is returning basically no one, right? Their 5-year starting quarterback gone. But luckily for them, they get to pass against a fairly new Michigan secondary. All they need to do is steal points for us to feel confident in this bet. But this Michigan team going up against this ECU team is a total mismatch. There's a reason there's a 36.5 point spread here. We said this about James Franklin. Harbaugh might have his best Michigan team here with not one, but 2 legitimate Heisman candidates in JJ McCarthy and Blake Corum. I don't even need to go over the stats to tell you what to expect from Michigan this year because this is a team who has legitimate title aspirations versus an ECU team who just wants to put up a good fight. So I'm taking over 51.5. I had a projected score number for this, and it was a little bit higher for ECU than I anticipated. I think I was somewhere like 51.5, and ECU was 14.5. I have come down a little bit from that. I don't know if ECU hits the 14, so I might drop that projection down to 10. Vaughn, I know you want to say something about this, man.
Yeah, I don't know. I was going to say it's more like a 49-7, 49-10 probably type of game. You know, if I had to pick a score here, of course I like Michigan on the side. I would lean the over as well. But yeah, if you're I don't know what ECU's team total is. If it's hanging anything over, 10.5 to 13.5 range, I would definitely like the under in that situation or take Michigan's team total over. So I'm with you, Brad. This is a big week for me because I'm running it back with another underdog. I don't know what it is with me and underdogs, but for my best bet, man, we're going with the Bulldogs. All right. I got Fresno State at 4.5 and wrote about that on NBC Sports. It's down to 3.5 in a lot of places. I'm seeing at some sites for DraftKings in particular, 87% of the money is on Purdue today. I like that. I like that for Fresno.
That's crazy.
So, Purdue, it's week 1, first game, new head coach, Ryan Walters, defensive coordinator from Illinois, new quarterback, Hudson Card, replacing Aiden O'Connell from the NFL. And then you got a whole new identity and scheme. This is not an ideal time to be backing a team in week 1 as a home favorite with all these different changes and transfers coming in. Fresno State, a team that went, 1-4 to start last year? And what happened? They won 9 straight games, and they won the Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl. That's right. They won the Jimmy Kimmel Bowl, baby. But this team looks so much better, and they went out and got Mikey Keene at quarterback.
Yes.
I like what I've seen for Fresno State. The under was probably the best bet. That was 51.5 a week ago. It's now 47. But that's because Ryan Walters is a defensive-minded coach, and so is Fresno State. So I don't think there'll be many points scored in this game. I still like the under, but I took Fresno State with the points. I would play it down to 3. Eric, what you got? It's me. It's a bounce-back week for me and you, my friend. Let's go, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, a rare loss in the best bet segment. I blame Chris Tyree because I lost by 1 yard.
1 yard.
1 yard, and it came with 2 consecutive completions at the end of the second half where they were running the 2-minute drill. And he cleaned it by 1 yard. Oh, just turn around. Here I am. Dump off safety valve plays. It was infuriating. But hey, that's how it goes. We're back on the horse. And I got a great one. this week. This one is hitting. Kyrie Robinson, running back, San Jose State. This is a late put up by DK, where they took their time. This came out like last night. So this wasn't out there on Thursday and had time to settle. That's why I think it's still there at 42.5. Last week, if we remember correctly, we actually have some tape and some 2023 performance to gauge what's going on in San Jose State, because they played USC last week and did pretty well, scoring 28 points against Alex Grinch's pathetic defense. That being said, Kyrie Robinson last year had all the running back carries for San Jose State. The next closest running back had 10 carries. 10. So it was just his deal. There's nobody to take the job from him last year. However, flip the page, 2023, Coach Brian Brennan clearly saw that there was a dearth of talent in that running back room. Brings in Quali Conley from Utah Tech. He had 1,100 yards and averaged 6.9 yards per carry last year in the FCS level. Comes right up last week. 6 carries, 108 yards, and looked electric doing so. I mean, he's the one. He had 2 explosive runs. That's 2 more than obviously Kyrie Robinson had, because he had 9 carries. He went 27 yards. Okay. Unfortunately, that is the modus operandi that we've seen from Kyrie Robinson, frankly, too many times last year. He's a passing down back. He's not a between the tackles guy. With Quali Conley clearly asserting himself as a quality number 2 and possibly like a 1A, 1B type, I think that Kyrie Robinson is going to be pigeonholed to receiving work primarily. Okay. And the fact that they're playing Oregon State. Hey, Oregon State's a top 20 team here. Just because USC was last week doesn't mean that Oregon State is a cupcake here, because their defense is way better than USC's. Way better, their rush defense. I'm very confident of that. Plus, they're going to play at a slower pace than USC did last year. They're going to want to pound Damian Martinez and, with DJU, give him some good, easy throws. They're not going to try to go crazy there. I really like the under at Kyrie Robinson, 42.5 rushing yards. Quali Conley is going to get an extended look here. Once the game tends to get out of hand, I think you see him on ice. And that's what I'm going with for my best bet.
Okay, listen, we're going 3-0 in the best bets, boys. I have to tell you something. Everyone knows we're true gamblers. If you guys see me jump out of my seat, I am a Brian Embuemo goal away from hitting a plus 500 and a plus 700 parlay, an assist away from hitting a plus 550. So I will have my notifications up. If you guys see me go crazy, that's the reason why. So everyone, we have 30 minutes to hit that. Please root for your boy. And as I'm saying that, if you're looking for NFL content, the dream duo right in front of you, Vaughn Dalzell and myself, got you covered in spreads, player props all season long on NBCSports.com and our X accounts at Mr. Brad Thomas and at V Money Sports. The People's Parlay. Let's go. I'm going to kick it off. South Carolina Moneyline. I think we're going to talk about this game, so I don't want to get too much into it, but I'm taking South Carolina plus 115. Eric, what's your play for the parlay?
Yeah, well, I'm going with my hometown, Boston College Eagles, currently sitting at -8. Now, the Eagles, brutal reset year last year. I mean, total reset, despite the fact, obviously, they had Zay Flowers, but Phil Dracovic, injured, ineffective, finally moves on to Pitt. New offensive coordinator, out goes Frank Signetti. BC, their problem last year was they had no experience at all. They were turning over their entire offensive line. And that's important because they had Zion Johnson, who was a first-round pick in 2022. So, out comes last year. They're rebuilding the whole thing, and it was a dumpster fire. It was a jailbreak pretty much every time, Dracovic was back there to pass, and there wasn't a lot of room for Pat Garwo. Pat Garwo ran for over 1,000 yards in 2021. Seems like 10 years ago that happened. Completely ineffective last year, and it's all the line. That being said, they have 4 returning starters this year. They're back. They have restocked the cupboard in the most important part, because that's what BC does. They clear holes. It's been that way since the Mike Cloud era. So I like BC to be able to overpower an NIU team that also 4-8 last year. Again, they're resetting themselves sort of this year. Rocky Lombardi is back, fortunately for them, but considering they're playing a revamped BC team and they're hungry. They want to establish the fact that they are back and they're not going to have another season like they did last year. I'm going to back the Eagles.
Backing the Eagles there. So, Vaughn, what's your play for this?
Yeah, we're rocking with LSU. So I'm sorry, Brad, you don't want to hear this one again. But like I said, revenge angle early on the season. This game means everything for both these teams. Fits the trends that I really believe in week one early in the season. And it's going to be a Sunday night game. So we get to cash these two early in the day today and then wait for that one tomorrow for a plus 626 payout at BetMGM. I like that.
Well, I will say LSU minus 2.5 is the third most bet team via BetMGM this week. Man.
What's number one and two?
Number one, Alabama minus 19.5 and Colorado plus 20.5. And what's more important that we should know, big bet alert from BetMGM. Alabama minus 39.5. Someone bet $1,800 on the Crimson Tide to cover the 39.5 points. I didn't bet that game yet. Keep along with my Twitter. I'll probably have something. It's tough to bet that game with multiple quarterbacks playing. Basically, three very different styles of quarterback as well. So let's break down the games here, guys. We have about 25 minutes to go over our favorite bets. So I'm not going to waste any time. North Carolina minus 2.5 against South Carolina. Total set at 63.5. I told you I'm on South Carolina, and for me, it's the defense. The defense of North Carolina is just so putrid. For me, getting a plus price on a team that I think will take another massive leap in South Carolina. If not, it's like, what is Shane Beamer doing? Like, he has the hype against a bad defense. And I'm also on Drake May over 275. I was going to make an executive decision to see if I wanted to back Spencer Rattler at his price. I haven't pulled the trigger yet, but the more and more I think about it, the more I might. These are just off the top of my head numbers, so I don't know they're going to be 100% accurate, but it's like 117th in EPA versus the pass was North Carolina last season. This is Spencer Rattler, who, we have to be honest, he is playing for draft stock this year. If their schedule's so brutal, like I couldn't imagine them making much noise, but if they do make a lot of noise, it's because he has a massive season. Do you have anything for this, Vaughn?
Yeah, I actually, this was almost part of my best bet, but it was super close to being it. Over 63.5 in North Carolina, South Carolina. As you mentioned, North Carolina's defense, Swiss cheese in every single sense of the word. They have one DB back from last season. For South Carolina, they got a bunch of new guys in the front seven. Obviously, the quarterback situation are two Heisman contenders at Rattler and May. Both guys could put up 300-plus yards total or just through the air. And I think both offenses are undoubtedly better than each defense that they'll be facing. And I think that's an important thing in backing the over. North Carolina was an over factory last year, so I'm going to ride with this one here early on. And I will say I like your money line play because South Carolina has won 7 of the last 9 meetings against North Carolina. And, those Carolina State schools, they really do get up to play each other. So I'm expecting a very competitive game, and I can see both teams scoring 30-plus points here.
Yeah, I was surprised that this game didn't pop up in one of the most bet totals. Because I really do love the over here. Eric, I know you had Drake May in your article. So anybody who doesn't know, Mr. Eric Froton is the college football prop master. Make sure you are checking out his articles every week. Not only reading them, but drop the man a like and retweet and follow him if you do not. Let's go into the next game. I don't have a play on this, but I know Eric and Vaughn are pretty heavy. UTSA, who I have in my top 25, minus 1.5 at Houston. Total set at 60.5. Kick us off, Vaughn.
Yeah, there might be another pizza bet on this one. Depends if someone wants to get action on it. That's all I'm going to say. But UTSA, another revenge angle from last season. UTSA lost in week 1 in 3 overtimes against Houston, 37-35. Clayton Tune had a 2-point conversion to win that game. Now that game was at UTSA. This one is at Houston. So the Roadrunners get a chance to return that. They also got Frank Harris back at quarterback. If you guys haven't known about him, he's only been in the college football for like 5 or 7 years now. But he was a part of the 13th ranked offense last year. They moved the ball a lot. And when you look at all 3 of the losses for the Roadrunners last year, they all came against ranked opponents. So I went back to 2021. 4 out of the last 5 were against ranked opponents. Went back to 2019. 6 of the last 8 were against ranked opponents. So UTSA is actually 23-5, in the past 2 seasons, and 4 out of the 5 losses are against ranked teams. So UTSA very competitive. They win when they're supposed to, when they're favored more than likely. Houston is not ranked, and I do not believe in the coaching staff there. I don't care what they said in the offseason. All right, so I like UTSA here on the money line, and I think the Roadrunners are the better team. I like the revenge angle, like I said, and the offense is better than Houston's.
Well, I mean, that's really nice. Yeah, I know UTSA had a nice year last year. They went 11-3. Jeff Traylor, no doubt, he did an incredible coaching job. And for their efforts, they got the bump up to the American Athletic Conference from the decrepit CUSA. So congratulations. They deserve all that praise. However, Vaughn, they're now in a big boy league here. All right. Now they're in the AC. Now they're playing a team that got moved up to the Big 12 in Houston. Now, does Houston turn over? Yeah, definitely. However, Clayton Toon's gone. Tank Dell's gone. Matthew Golden's still there. Donovan Smith comes over from Texas Tech, running this similar system with Dana Holgorsen, right? They're in good shape. And they bring in Terrence Mathis, from West Virginia. So I'm not worried about Houston. What I do like in terms of the bets here, I love this game to turn into a shootout. You see the 60.5. I think that goes over. This game is going to be, there's going to be fireworks in this game. I see a lot of them coming from Houston. Donovan Smith is listed at 240.5. On DraftKings, I saw him at 255. You can get him at 240 elsewhere. I love the over on that 240, frankly. I don't see any way that this isn't going to be a complete firefight between these two teams. And with that, the open, attack oriented system of Dana Holgorsen, it's going to be an air assault. At 240, I don't see any way Donovan Smith doesn't go and hit 241. I would take that low number and I would hit it over as much as I can. I would even pair it if you want to, get together with it. Matthew Golden's at 65.5. There's no Tank Dell anymore. All right. Matthew Golden was a 900-yard receiver with Tank Dell in the house. And we see what he's doing in NFL defense. He's tearing them apart.
I might parlay those.
I just think those two, if you wanted to pair them together, they're both going over. 65.5 for Matthew Golden. Give it to me. And, if you want to sprinkle even in a third, if you want a third little piece of this game, Terrence Mathis Jr., as I mentioned, is in. He's at 55.5 coming over from West Virginia because he got pushed out by C.J. Donaldson. He's in there. There's Brandon Campbell there. There's Sam Snead that's already there in that room. Now you're throwing in Mathis, who is the nominal starter. But you're going to see 3-4 guys getting carries here. I just think you're asking a lot. UTSA has a pretty good defensive line. Definitely the strength of their team. All right. So, running against them, I think you got a better shot at throwing against them if they lose 2 all-conference defensive backs, 2 first-team all-CUSA cornerbacks. I just see them game script-wise throwing. You're going to have 3 running backs in that mix. I'm going under on Mathis.
I like that a lot. I'll say this, too, quickly, because when Eric was at my house on, I believe it was Tuesday morning, and you were doing a podcast, I was watching the UTSA Houston game on repeat from last year. And when you came out and you were like, what are you doing? And I said, why were there no points scored in the first quarter of this Houston UTSA game? They're just moving up and down the field, getting 20 plays. But I think that's the over is a really good bet here. And I was considering that. I like picking sides usually, but I think I am going to lock in the over 60.5 for half a unit because I was feeling that when I was watching the game. And I think that they're not going to need overtime to hit that number. But I like your plays a lot, Eric.
I want to say I started to laugh when I saw Eric's play of Tony Mathis Jr. How many times have we faded this guy?
That guy, seriously, he is an all-star of the show.
Oh my God. All right, let's get to the next one. USC minus 30.5 at Nevada. Total set at 66.5. Vaughn, before you go, I do want to say this. Anybody who is looking on other books that offer receiving touchdown props, Dorian Singer has a solid price there. But you have to make sure you bet receiving touchdown and not touchdown. What's your play on?
Good to know. This is a huge number. And, I ate my words last week. USC put up plenty of points, Brad. You cashed that. But I think this one is just strictly USC minus 38. I mean, Nevada has nothing. What are they going to do here? USC could score 50, 60 points. If that's what they looked like against San Jose State, they should have problems against Nevada. So simply put, roll Trojan, roll, or whatever they say out there in California, Eric. I forget. Fight on. Fight on, Trojans. Fight on.
Eric, do you have a play for this one? I don't think you did, right?
No, I got nothing on USC, unfortunately, gentlemen.
All right, so we'll move over to Colorado at TCU. TCU minus 20.5. The total set at 63.5. And this is the most bet game in college football in total tickets. Crazy. Go ahead and give me your favorite prop, Eric.
Damn, I mean, look at Dion. Dion can do anything. Even the ratings, bringing in all the transfers. Now you're even getting people betting on Colorado. People didn't even know Colorado existed last year. The worst team in the Power Five.
Bettors knew Colorado existed last year.
All it takes is a coach who wears a fur mink coat on the field, and everybody's in. Everybody's in. Props to prime time. You got to give it to him. I'm going to reiterate that Shedeur Sanders play and just make sure that you guys, we put that in. It's a 210.5. As stated, opened at 183. Now at 210. I think he crushes that. Like that is a staple of. I put a comfortable amount of money on this over. I am all over this. I don't. If you're going to go over, it's got to be the right thing. TCU's going to get up. They're going to be throwing. Colorado is going to be running the ball on these guys. And Alton McCaskill's coming off an ACL, who's their best running back anyways. Maybe they put in Darnell Edwards, a true freshman. Cavassier Smoke. They're gonna be down and they're gonna be chucking. They're gonna be forced to chuck. And when they do it, Dion's not gonna make his kid look bad. He's gonna go out there and he's gonna have his time. It just makes so much sense for me. Once again, over 210.5, Shedeur.
Let me ask you, what's the highest number you'd play that at?
I would say up to 230.
220 is the number it's sitting at right now. Just for anybody who is looking and wants to play it.
Crushes this. I mean, they're going to have to throw. They're going to be zipping and throwing. That's just what I see. I mean, if you're going to be down, what are you going to do? Run the ball in the line with your 180-pound freshman tailback? If McCaskill ain't out there, I don't know. Everything points to it for me.
I'll say I just saw some significant line movement start happening across this book, a couple books. Tennessee is dropping from 28 or 28.5 down to 26 and 26.5. So it looks like a lot of people are grabbing some Virginia tickets as we lead up to kickoff. And TCU is now a solid minus 21 everywhere. So everyone's live on Colorado. The Sharps are on TCU.
Yeah, that's telling you the story. That's telling you the story of watching line movement where a lot of tickets on Colorado, yet the price is still going up to 21. Wow. Okay. I'm on Rice. Not on Rice. I'm on the Rice game. Rice at Texas. Texas minus 35.5. Total set at 59.5. I think this is going to be the last time against an opponent like Rice that will get this number. Xavier Worthy over 61.5 receiving yards. A lot of people know Bijan Robinson. Not a lot of people know Roschon Johnson. Those guys are gone from Texas. But with this Texas team and what Sarkisian did is he likes to feature his best weapon. And this year is going to be Xavier Worthy. I don't want to get too deep into the weeds here, but just look at the man's game film. His ADOT was insane, but he's also a player who can win at the line of scrimmage, get you extra yards at the line of scrimmage, which is great for a guy who has breakaway speed. So Xavier Worthy over 61.5 receiving yards. Let's move it over to Virginia at Tennessee. Tennessee at 28. Vaughn said it went down, but 28.5 point favorite. Total set at 57.5. Kick us off, Eric, because I see you have two in this. You can just go back to back for us.
Sure, sounds good. We'll start out with Tennessee. The Volunteers, as we know, Josh Heupel offense. We have Joe Milton coming in to take over the vaunted passing attack, and I do think they will be airing it out and putting it on Virginia. But after they do, it's time to run the ball. The problem is you got 4 running backs in that backfield that will be getting time, that deserve to have time, and that are extremely talented. All right. So first we'll go with the new freshman, Cam Seldon, top 10 running back from the 2023 class, comes in and rips apart the spring game. He's 220 pounds, has NFL back written all over him. And even though he's a true freshman, he's going to get his. Last year, redshirt freshman / sophomore, Dylan Sampson, he came in for his limited work last year. And when he got his opportunities, he was excellent. He will be getting some carries today. Then you have the number 2 running back, Jalen Wright. everybody who's watched Tennessee, I think, for any extended period of time in 2022 and has watched that backfield knows what I'm about to say is 100% true. Jalen Wright is better than Jabari Small. All right, there's a seniority thing going on. I have watched enough of these two, to know definitively that he's a better running back. Jabari Small doesn't dodge tackles. He's not particularly elusive, doesn't have great feet in the hole. He kind of just follows his blocks and powers his way into opposing tackles. No elusiveness at all whatsoever. Small is listed at 76.5 rushing yards today. Given the fact that I think this will be a game that they will have in hand early, I don't see the need to lean on Small, who throughout training camp was limited through most of training camp. Like, he just sort of came in and started, playing over the past week and a half or so. But I can't see them wanting to put him, who is the nominal starter, in harm's way here. I am a hard under 76.5 on Jabari Small. Too many cooks in that kitchen, going to be out of hand quick, and they're going to put him on ice to save him because they don't want him to get any further injured. Plus, you got 3 more talented underclassmen backs. That's an easy one for me. It's an easy fade. Next, Malik Washington for UVA. Malik Washington played for Northwestern last year and was the apple of Ryan Helinski's eye. He got 1 million targets. I mean, he's pretty much the only guy who got consistent targets on an entire team last year. Well, he had enough. He might have been hazed. I don't know. There's no truth to that rumor, but he's out of Northwestern, thankfully, and he's now at UVA. With UVA, all the reports you're reading out of spring and everything, spring game stuff that I watched, Malachi Fields is the wide receiver 1 over there. He's getting all the pub. He was the best player they had, in terms of last season. And just because Malik Washington strolls in this year out of Northwestern doesn't mean he's going to usurp Fields. In fact, I don't think he will. All right. So you're looking at in my estimation, a wide receiver 2 from a low level Power 5 team that has a quarterback named Tony Muskett. Tony Muskett. Not Tony Machine Gun.
Tony Muskett.
Not Tony Bazooka. Tony Muskett. A relic of the Civil War era weaponry. Okay? Do you want that guy throwing the ball to somebody you're taking an over position on? I don't. Now, obviously, I think Tennessee's going to be up. You got Muskett at 170. But look, you got a number 2 receiver here in Malik Washington, who we haven't seen how he's even going to gel with his team. I think he's a 2. I like Fields to be better. They're playing Tennessee, who's got a better defense this year. I mean, I got to fade them. I got to go under 56.5 here.
I took Brum McCoy over 53.5. And what's funny is I wanted to bet Brum McCoy. I thought I was going to bet him around 60. I was shocked to see 53.5. I know he's floating around there at some places in the 60s. I think 64s are out there. Last season, he kind of was a fighting uphill battle is the phrase, where he was dealing with injury, trying to get back right, trying to get in that vibe with the team. Now he is the man. He is the man of that offense. I think he's going to see a lot of targets. It's just up to him. He has such a massive ceiling. He transferred from USC, comes to Tennessee. It's time to put it all together. Time to have one of those massive seasons. I like him a lot today, 53.5. I couldn't believe I was getting that number. Let's move over to West Virginia. Let's move over to ECU at Michigan. I told you I like the over 51.5 points in this game. Eric, I saw you send this over. This was on one of my little screenshots that I was going to take. I got scared at 28.5, but tell me why you like the running back from ECU to go under their total.
Yeah, I'm seeing Rajah Harris, the Maharaja at 30.5 is what I'm getting him at there. Now, it's important to remember, Harris missed most of the season last year and sat behind Baltimore Ravens camp star Keaton Mitchell, who hit like 22 on the gun, was an electric performer in that backfield last year. With him departed, as you mentioned, also Holton Aller's gone too, and comes Mason Garcia. There's a 3-headed monster at ECU, and what I kind of get the feeling of is Rajah Harris has been there the longest. He's the elder statesman. He fought to come back from injury, so he's the nominal starter with the or caveats there. Marlon Gunn is there, who was effective last year. Gerald Green transfers in from the Sun Belt and Georgia Southern, very effective running back there. You've got 3 accomplished, solid backs here playing against Michigan. Okay, so when you have a divided situation, I don't know how much Rajah's going to have. He says he's the starter, but that doesn't mean anything when you got 3 guys there playing an absolute elite, Pantheon level defense in the FBS this year. You got to get to 31. Ooh, I think that's a tall order. And considering he was kind of banged up through camp, he got cleared late because he was injured. I don't see any reason to really put him in harm's way. I'm going to take the under on 30.5 here.
I'm going to have to lock in. I only have a 28 available, but I'll take it. Okay, so I'm going to answer this question here. Let's see if I can bring it up. Is the FanDuel boost of Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards to both record a touchdown a setup or a hammer? I actually like them both to score. We know Blake Corum's going to find the end zone, right? Now it's up to Donovan Edwards. I think that Harbaugh, after what Donovan Edwards did in stepping up for the team when Corum went down, will feature him a lot this year, especially with the fact that you want both guys to get into the national championship healthy. I also want to add on to that. If anybody who doesn't have FanDuel and they want to do a little 4-leg parlay, I like Blake Corum, Donovan Edwards, Travion Henderson, and I am drawing a blank right now, not Dallin Hayden, Mayan Williams, all to score rushing touchdowns today. If you do them rushing touchdowns like on DK, you'll get a pretty good price there.
Touchdowns are so finicky.
They
right?
are.
I don't like the touchdown. I definitely don't like going.
They're hard. They're hard, but when team totals are set at like 40, 38, and you're getting like, so that I don't know the odds off the top of my head, but I think the odds are going to be close to like 7-1, 8-1. It makes it a little bit more fun. I'm not saying go crazy on it. Don't go crazy on it, but still have a little bit of.
I hate the touchdown ones. Betting to get touchdown is so subjective. Like game script can come into play. Yeah. If it's good juice, then cool. Otherwise, I hate them. I hate touchdowns.
Let's move over to Utah State at Iowa. Iowa 25.5 point favorite. Total set at 43.5. Iowa was going to be a bet of mine. Lockstep. The number literally exploded in the 2 weeks that I've been looking at it. But I did go with Caleb Johnson over 83.5 rushing yards.
I like that.
I will tell you guys, I'm not a huge ladder person, but I would ladder them. This is against a Utah State team that not particularly good against the run either. They were 130th in EPA per rush. Their success rate against rush, awful. While Iowa, has all this hype around their offense to score more, they bring in Cade McNamara. They're not going to forget their roots. Much like when we talked about the week 0 matchup of battling in the trenches, this is just going to be one of the better offensive lines against an undersized defensive line. So we should get a lot of push. I like Caleb Johnson. If you want to, when I say bet him up to 100, that's like you're getting good plus money, like 2-1 on him to rush for 100 yards.
Yeah, well, I have I got no problem with that. I have quite a few shares of Caleb Johnson in the fantasy world. And like you said, keep in mind, offensive coordinator Brian Ferentz has to score 25 points a game to keep his job and to hit bonus. They have to take every layup they can get.
Yes.
Okay, when it comes to scoring points to get to that 25, I'm sure he will take advantage of this Utah State Aggies defense. Only returns 5 starters from a team, that gave up 32 points per game already, and that was in the Mountain West. They're going to go after him as much as they can to pad those stats. So no problem there. That being said, I do have a play in this game too. I'll keep it quick. Deontay Vines, Iowa. He's listed at 24.5 receiving yards. Now, as we know, there was a little conjecture whether or not our friend Cade McNamara will be playing. He is expected to suit up and play. I do think that they will certainly don't want to get him hurt. So if they get up, I think they'll protect him a little bit.
Yeah.
That being said, that a lot of what comes with that is running the ball more often and making safe passes. Deontay Vines apparently is a starter here. I mean, 10 catches, 94 yards last year. We really don't have much on him. He's just kind of an average, nondescript kind of a prospect. I think with the fact that Iowa is not going to want to put themselves in harm's way, not going to want to put, as we mentioned, McNamara in potential danger. I need to see what this passing attack looks like. They were throwing for 100 yards, 150 yards a game last year. Okay, This is not going crazy on it, but you got to show me. This is a me under. Show me Deontay Vines. Show me the 25 yards. I'm taking a speculative under here.
Let me ask you guys this, because I'm thinking obviously we love to talk smack and fade Iowa any chance we got, take unders, all that good stuff last year and make money. But now they're flipping the script. We know they're going to be a little more offensively minded, even though they're still a defensive team. Their first half spread is 13.5 on some books. And I've been thinking that's a good play. Like, Iowa should get out to a 2-touchdown lead on Utah State at home. Do you guys disagree? Like, should we be betting this or what?
I'm nervous sometimes Iowa, we have to bet on Iowa scoring points. That's the only thing.
And it's like, when are they going to become a little better offensively? Like, maybe not week 1, right? But Utah State, like we said, it's a good team to get up 20 points in the first half.
It's a good team to get right again.
It's my problem with that is Iowa's the team that's going to consistently wear you down. They're the kind of team that's going to take advantage from having positive field position. If that doesn't come early, then I get worried. But I don't mind it. It's just like, I just know if you're going to bet Iowa to cover, you want the entire game flow because they're the type of team that's going to get the turnovers, so they get the plus field position.
I agree with that. Okay. It's good advice. I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's move over to the next one. Fresno State at Purdue. Purdue, a 3.5-point favorite. Total set at 47. Eric, give us your favorite prop from this one, and then we will get into recapping and our Moneyline sprinkles for anybody who joined late.
Yeah, I guess I have a combo here, and a lot of it has to do with the changeover, because I feel like the line is still looking at this Purdue team like Jeff Brom is still coaching it, and Brian Brom is still the offensive coordinator here. Guess what? He's not. Ryan Walters, as we mentioned, defensive coordinator for Illinois, defensive coordinator who is so good at his job. He took the Illini from allowing 34 points per game the year before he got there to just 2 seasons later, which was last year, they allowed 13 points per game. I mean, shaving 3 touchdowns off their – I mean, that's amazing. You cannot say enough about the job he did at Illinois. 3 draftees out of the secondary.
Let's go. I am so sorry. Keep going. Keep going.
Yeah, congrats, Brad.
Okay, that's good. I'm glad Brad hit. So, cheer. I like being cheered when I'm there.
Your breakdown was so good. I had to go. Let's go.
Yeah, more cheers. So with Ryan Walters now going in there to Purdue with Brom moving on, this is going to be a defense-oriented game plan, just like it was in Illinois. Like, he's going to want to protect that D. Defensive coaches don't go out there and play the air raid game. Okay. Yes, Graham Harrell is coming in. Okay, off of West Virginia, but he had a rough stint last year with the Mountaineers too. I just think you're going to see a little bit more of the establishing, playing a little more ball control behind Devin Mockabee. We've got Hudson Card, who is first-year starter here again at Purdue. No Chuck Sizzle in the house anymore. He's gone. Aiden O'Connell's gone. He's listed at 279 passing yards, 279.5. That is a big number for a defensive-oriented head coach and Ryan Walters. I'm having a hard time with this. I can't see him getting there. Not just that, we've got an unsettled depth chart at wide receiver too. Deion Burks listed at 49.5. We got TJ Sheffield at 58. I personally like the Burks at 49.5 to go under. Look, I mean, you're going to have to do some throwing here to get to that level. I just don't see that happening to this extent. I just don't. And they're playing Fresno, who's not a pushover either. As mentioned, they closed the season strong. Jeff Tedford, good coach, all that stuff. First game for Walters as a head coach again, too. Look, 280 is a big number. I don't think they're getting there. I think that Walters is going to protect his D. You're going to see slower pace. You're going to see less passes. And you see an under on Hudson Card. And you could even pair that with Deion Burks under 49.5 if you'd like.
I love that. Yeah, I definitely think this is going to be a lower scoring game. Not as many players hitting those yard over totals in this game. So I'm with you there. I love that. And congrats again, Brad. Glad you're making money for
the
free.
94th minute, and I put a half unit on both. So we just won 8 units in the 94th minute.
It's a great Saturday. It's not even noon. We still got
really
5
great.
minutes.
Really great for that. And it's funny. I know this is not a soccer show, but the only reason one was plus 550, one was plus 700 was because I took him to score in one, which was higher odds, and I took him to score or assist in the other. And he hasn't had an assist all season. So, all right, guys, do you like rankings or polls? Well, if you do, every week the College Football Crew is putting on our thinking caps, and coming up with a top 25 poll led by Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, Alabama, and USC, plus a Big Ten betting article every week. Don't miss out on NBCSports.com. And let us know who is your top 25. Who you like, who you hate, and who just flat out sucks. Put it in the comment section. Plus, put your favorite bet. And if you're watching on YouTube, drop a like, ring the bell. It tells you when we go live. Moneyline, sprinkles, baby. Vaughn, you have a ton. Go ahead and give us yours.
Yeah, I went 1-1 last week. You guys didn't want to do them because week 0 was a weird slate for underdogs. But this one was much better. So I'm riding with you, Brad, on South Carolina. Like they won 7 of the last 9 against North Carolina. I like the offense and defensive matchups there. Taking Fresno State, obviously, is my best bet to cover the spread at 4.5. So I got to take them on the money line. I saw someone in the chat say North Texas. Where are you at? Because I was loving that one. Our guy Marty, who we all know, he might be the best gambler that comes in our chat, and he's giving out Marty. Green. So yeah, I'm excited about North Texas.
North Texas, Marty.
Yeah.
Whoa,
Cal's head coach, 2-6 ATS is a road favorite. We all know North Texas was dominant as a home dog. So technically, Cal has the talent offensively at some positions. They should win the game, but we got to take North Texas at 2-1 as a home dog. And then lastly is the ugliest one I've ever placed. The Akron Zips to upset the Temple Owls. Temple's laying 10 points. I don't even want the points. Like Temple should never be laying 10 points. And Akron's won at least a road game in the last 2 years. Temple, gets a couple of their wins at home. So should be a very boring game I'm not going to watch, but I'll take a ticket on to Akron.
My two, I talked about them on the show. Temple's god awful. South Carolina plus 120 and FSU plus 120. Eric, who are your money line sprinkles?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Houston. As we mentioned, me and Vaughn are battling. We're battling. I want my plus money on Houston. I think UTSA. It's the cows. The chickens are coming home to roost here. No Zachary Franklin. DeCorian Clark is probably not playing. He was questionable. He's coming off an ACL. He isn't playing. I just think it's a case where it's time. It was a magical season for UTSA. I feel like they got a little lucky. I think they're over their skis a little bit. That's why I'm going Houston. My last one, and this one's a little more spicy. USF playing Western Kentucky. Plus 370. Get almost 4-1 on the money line. With USF playing down a conference to CUSA, look, I get they weren't good. They were 1-11 now. I know. But you got Alex Golish in there this year, who was the offensive coordinator for Josh Heupel under Tennessee. They're going to be scoring a hell of a lot more points in the 28. I mean, they were scoring 28 a game anyway. The defense. They're going to be up tempo. All they want to do is go fast. You hear the interviews with the players, and they're saying, "Look, we knew we were going to go fast. We knew they want to come fast." But then we got in a camp, and we can't believe the pace that we're setting. It's not like it's out of the realm of possibility for USF to retool after a season behind a good coach and come out with kind of overhyped UTSA, in my opinion, and to run them out of the stadium. And you're getting 4-1 odds almost for it? Give it to me.
I love that.
I like that. Let's just run through our recap really fast. No explanation, just to give everyone a little taste of what we have, and we'll let everyone go. I'm on South Carolina money line. Worthy over 61.5. Bra McCoy 53.5. The over in Michigan. Penn State minus 20.5. Drake May over 275.5. Florida State plus 2.5. And Caleb Johnson over 83.5. Vaughn, hit us.
I am going Fresno State plus 4.5 in the money line, which starts right now. We're going North Carolina versus South Carolina over 63.5. LSU on the money line, Penn State minus the 20.5, UTSA on the money line, USC minus 38. And I sprinkled a little over 60 in UTSA versus Houston, just a half a unit. Everything else, 1 unit.
Hit us, Eric.
Geez, I got a whole slate. Jabari Small, under 76.5. Kyrie Robinson, under 42.5. Garrett Green, over 18.5. People's Parlay, BC minus 8. Donovan Smith, over 240.5 passing. Matthew Golden, over 65.5 receiving. Tony Mathis Jr., 55.5 rushing under. Deontay Vines, Iowa, under 24.5. I didn't get to this one, but I'm feeling the love tonight. Reggie Love, under 65.5. I think you see Josh McCray and Donald Fegan taking plenty of totes away from him. Rajah Harris, under 30.5. Hudson Card, under 279. Deion Burks, under 49.5. And Malik Washington, under 56.5. Sorry, I forgot to get to Reggie Love, under 65.5. That's on me.
It's all good,
Sorry,
guys.
Reggie.
It is officially college football time. Everyone who is watching or listening, thank you so much. We appreciate it. For Vaughn Dalzell and Eric Froton, I'm Brad Thomas. Best of luck and have fun watching the games.